Welcome to the Clear to Send podcast, a podcast about wireless engineering, where we educate you on Wi-Fi technology, talk about design tips, troubleshooting, interviews, and the tools. Here are your hosts, Roel and Francois.
Hey everybody, Merry Christmas. This is the Christmas episode from Clear to Send. I am Roel Dionisio, your host, alongside Francois Vergès, our co-host. How are you doing, Francois?
I'm good. I thought you were going to say Santa Claus.
We have our special guest, Santa Claus, here.
Ho, ho, ho.
But it is going to be Christmas in a few days, and we decided to do a Naughty or Nice Wi-Fi. And I mean, it took us a while to even get started on this episode because we had our own audio issues. Had to try every single possible solution to try to make this connection work, and I went through. Well, first I had internet connections with my wireless, rebooted my AP, made sure I had no other like security settings I was playing with on my firewall, and made sure my other laptop wasn't downloading anything. But finally, I just put everyone on 2.4, and I'm the only one on 5.
Okay. That's how it works. Okay. I was wondering how to make Wi-Fi work.
I don't know. It was just one of those things with I guess with voice audio, trying to figure out where the problem is, and when you don't have something that tells you the quality of your connection, other than Slack saying your connection is poor. I guess that's kind of a clear indicator, right?
Yeah. Well. Anyway, and then after my voice was repeating on your end, so we had to use different devices. But I think we're going to make it work.
Yeah, we're going to make this work. And hopefully, I mean, at least we have backup. So
yeah,
switch to some backup methods and make we have some work to do on making our systems a little bit more streamlined and minimal, I guess is the word. But at least we're here recording, and we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday. Hopefully you guys are going to get your the things you asked Santa for.
Like a new Wi-Fi 6 AP.
Hopefully we're going to get some 802.11ax clients.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be nice. And I don't know. Have you heard of any vendors even talking about, hey, we've got AX clients yet?
No, I'm waiting for CES.
When is that?
Yeah.
Is that in January?
I think it's usually in January, and they announce a whole bunch of new devices. So maybe we'll have some new AX clients by then.
That could possibly be the time to announce new AX devices. And there's only a few AX APs out there, but maybe we'll also hear from the consumer end side of AX APs. Although it's going to be pretty standard, but at least we can get a sense for how it's going to work, right? But yeah, definitely when that comes out, even on the consumer end, I'll probably snatch up a client and an AP just to see what all this hoopla is about.
Yeah, start doing some packet capture and analyzing everything.
Yeah, if I can grab the equipment, that would be great. But we do have quite a bit of news to start out, right? So the first thing is we have our listener survey out. If you guys haven't filled out the survey, it's cleartosend.net/survey. We do this every year. It's probably the second time we've done it, but we try to get an idea of how we're doing on the show and what people want to listen to, right? So we try to figure out, are we on point with the content, and what other content can we provide to you guys, the listeners, to make the show more valuable to you? And so we have quite a bit of responses already, but we want to get more to get a better idea. So if you guys head over to cleartosend.net/survey, it only takes about 5 minutes to fill it out, and we would greatly appreciate it if you did. The next thing is we have the IT Blog Awards. And I think this ends on January 4th, 2019. So if you're still listening to this episode and you haven't voted for us yet, we were nominated under the blog, or was it the podcast and video series, and we're up against some pretty good people in this category. But if you guys vote, hopefully we'll make it further and maybe win the category for podcast and video series. This is hosted by Cisco, and this is, I think, the first time we're actually up for any type of award on this for this podcast. So
yeah, and the URL is cleartosend.net/vote. Pretty
that's
easy.
right. Maybe I should tell you guys how to get there.
Yeah.
So it's just a redirect that goes to the actual voting site. So only takes about a minute or two to vote.
Yeah, it takes longer to do the captcha at the end.
They got to make sure everyone voting is a real voter and not someone trying to hack it.
Yeah, they're using some pretty hard math questions to.
I know. I saw that captcha and I was like, really? Really? That's how we're going to do it? Okay. I don't know if you heard about this one, Francois, but the FCC published proposed rules for 6 gigahertz, which is exciting because we're now moving forward into having more spectrum here in the United States.
Yes.
Quite a bit of spectrum that they're putting out there with the rules. I haven't fully read all the rules yet, but I got the gist of it, which is you're going to have more uni bands, right? So we got uni 1, 2, and 3. And I just noticed in my notes I didn't add the other uni band, which I believe is 8, but or 7. What is it? 8.
It's pretty exciting news. I took a look at the document as well. Obviously, it looks very detailed. It looks like you're reading one of the old newspapers with columns. But it's nice to have more clarifications. It looks very detailed. So if we read everything, we'll probably get more idea of how it's going to work. But it's an exciting news. I think it's a first step for for having more Wi-Fi activity in those bands. Maybe the IEEE will just allow communication in these bands. Maybe for AX. And then, in Canada, we're always looking at what the FCC is doing because they kind of follow along. So that's good news for Canada as well.
Yeah, I think the United States can start setting the tone for unlicensed frequency for Wi-Fi. And I think we're going to see a big boost in general. It's hard to tell what could happen. There's been a lot of papers that are predicting how this is going to bring a lot to Wi-Fi, but we're talking 5.925 gigahertz to 7.125 gigahertz. It's quite a bit of spectrum, and I think once this is available, let's say to all we have devices and APs operating on these frequencies, we're probably not going to see much co-channel contention anymore.
Yeah, it's adding 59 channels, 20 megahertz wide channels from what I saw.
You can definitely start using 40 megahertz channel widths and 80 megahertz channel widths.
Yeah.
And start seeing improvements there in throughput without causing any kind of overlap. It's going to be impressive. And there are rules to this though. There's 2 bands, 2 uni bands that are going to be indoor only, low power. And then there's 2 other bands, Uni 5 and 7, that are going to be automated frequency control, which I believe is just to provide more. What's the word? It's going to protect some of the incumbents, the critical applications that are already on those frequencies. So it's to me, it sounds like another form of DFS, where they just kind of control that frequency a bit.
Exactly, because those bands were used by, I guess they're still used by other systems, so they want to make sure they're still prioritized over Wi-Fi. So they're making sure that there's a mechanism in place so Wi-Fi doesn't take over entirely, kind of like DFS in the Uni 2 extended band. It's kind of like the same.
Yeah, that's how I took it, and we'll put a link out in the show notes, clearsend.net/152 to the PDF document that includes the proposed rules. Printed out could be good reading during the on the Christmas table during dinner when everyone's talking politics.
Yeah, make sure you have a notepad next by so you can write down frequencies and rules.
Maybe during the politics talks, you can just randomly yell out
Yeah.
6 gigahertz frequencies.
Yeah. You can just say, oh, did you know that the operation of access points in the 5.925 to 6.425 gigahertz band is prohibited in moving vehicles such as cars, trains, and aircraft?
Just start reading it out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And you also wrote a blog post on the state of 6 gigahertz in Canada. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, because earlier this year, the FCC equivalent in Canada, which is called ISED, released a document where they were talking about the future, and they were talking about 6 gig a little bit. But pretty much what they were saying that they were waiting to see what the FCC and Europe would do about it, and then adjust what they want to do. But they were saying that there is no consumer devices supporting Wi-Fi in these bands, or supporting these bands, I should say, not only for Wi-Fi, but so they didn't see any clear reason to release any spectrum yet. So right now they kind of like waiting and trying to see what's going to happen in the rest of the world. But I'm guessing that if the FCC and Europe is embracing it, and if we start seeing some equipment supporting 6 gig, and then if we see the IEEE releasing it, some amendments supporting operation in the 6 gig frequency band, we might see some. They might be willing to do the same, releasing some more frequency bands and using mechanism to protect what's already there. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just follow along, but it's not going to be in the upcoming year. It's more maybe like in the next 5 year, I should say.
It's definitely going to take a while, right? Even in the United States, we were talking about 6 gigahertz. I think some of the people might be asking, well, how long is this going to take? I think it's going to take years, right? Even just to get to a point where the FCC goes, here you go, here's all this frequency to use. We still have to wait for all the devices to have the radios to support 6 gigahertz, the APs to support 6 gigahertz. So it's going to be a long process, but we're getting there. This is the government we're talking about. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, it's a good first step, though.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a good first step. It's going in the right direction, and you can see that they're putting a big investment in Wi-Fi. Even though we're seeing a lot of movement with 5G, right? Because there's a lot of talk too about 5G either replacing Wi-Fi, right? Does Wi-Fi have a good challenger? Is 5G gonna replace it, or is Wi-Fi just gonna be complementary to 5G? But I think with the new spectrum, well, one, I don't know why we need to talk about 5G and Wi-Fi that way. I think they're both great solutions, right? There's going to be a need for both. But with the new frequency available to us, I think we're going to see a lot of innovation there, right? Because it's unlicensed. That means you can do a lot more with the technology, a lot more frequency reuse. So I look forward to seeing it.
And also, it's unlicensed band, so it's not reserved for Wi-Fi exclusively. We might see some LTE license in those bands as well. Maybe, I don't know. I'm guessing. But
as long as they play nicely.
Yeah. Well, we're not sure about that.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's a different discussion.
Yeah, so, but that's like you said, it's going to take a while, but at least it's good to know that they're working on it.
So the next piece of news is I heard this through Scott Lester on Twitter, where Aruba is releasing Aruba OS 8.4.0.0. And if you read through the release notes, it's going to support WPA3 and OWE, which is fantastic.
That's nice. Yeah.
And I've talked about the demo that Aruba has done at Mobility Field Day and also at Security Field Day. So they're talking about it, and now they're releasing it. And all we need now are the clients to support it.
Yeah. That's the hardest part.
That is going to be the hardest part. And
I think that's one of the naughty list. I added that on the naughty list.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the naughty or nice Wi-Fi and whether or not your Wi-Fi makes the naughty or nice list. But I think vendors should start supporting OWE if they think they're security first, right? If these companies think they're strong in security, then they should have support for WPA3 and OWE, as soon as possible. It's,
exactly.
They should be able to implement it now.
I mean, it's about time, excuse. Right? We haven't had a new security framework on Wi-Fi for a long time, so
yeah, I think like 15 years.
Yeah, over like 10 years ago. So it's nice to have something, and we should embrace it. We'll see how the consumer side or the client device side, I guess I should say, will embrace it. But it's exciting to know that at least the vendors are implementing it in their APs controllers.
And I think it needs to start with the vendors, with the AP vendors. That way, it drives what features need to be installed on the client devices. And I think Aruba is doing a great job at taking that step forward and being in the forefront of security. And it really shows from, if you guys haven't seen Security Field Day, it was the first Security Field Day, and Aruba was part of that, where they discuss a lot of different things in security. But for me, the most interesting part was WPA3 and OWE that they demoed. So I'll add a link in the show notes for that as well.
So they used to demo it. Did they use like a client that supported it or something?
Yeah, they used Ubiquiti, and they created their own supplicant. And
okay.
I was asking if they were going to release that as well. I spoke to someone afterwards, off camera, and asked if they were going to add that to GitHub or something that everyone can see. And because once the AP support it, it'd be nice to at least test it out.
Roel, you talk like a journalist, like off camera.
Well, I mean off camera from Security Field Day.
No, I'm just kidding with it.
But I think Robert Boardman did ask during the live stream if they were going to
on the record.
Those.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, and then I think you added this in the notes in the news, a year in Wi-Fi from 2018. Did you read this white paper shared by CWMP?
No, not yet, but I'm really interested in it. I just I just really fast scroll the pages, but it looks very interesting. I'm interested.
Actually, I think I added this.
Yeah, you added it, but it's a really nice document. It's more talking about managed Wi-Fi, more on the service provider side. It's talking about the future of Wi-Fi a little bit too, so it's very interesting. I'm gonna read it for sure.
Yeah, it's a white paper from Maravidis. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but we'll include a link in the show notes. And I think the most interesting part of this white paper, I was starting to read it, and in the beginning, I'll just read out this paragraph. They say there are those that claim with the emergence of 5G, Wi-Fi days are numbered. We strongly disagree and make the case that Wi-Fi will continue to dominate the indoor technology environment and leverage its formidable footprint and ecosystem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with their analysis of Wi-Fi in 2018, they see it just growing, getting stronger. Just like what we said.
Yeah, I kind of agree with them. At the same time, I think as a Wi-Fi engineer, we're going to have to learn 5G and get involved with it more and more. Like customers will expect us to know and be able to answer questions as well. So it's going to be exciting. The future is exciting for us, I think.
Yep, the future is mobility.
Yeah. That's
All
that's
right,
a
so we
nice way to
finally
put it. I
we
think we
finally
can
made
end
it.
there.
Yeah, we can end the episode. That's it.
Drop the mic.
I should have saved that for the end. Dang it. All right, so let's go into the main part of our episode. This episode is titled "Naughty or Nice Wi-Fi," and we're just gonna go through a list, whether or not your Wi-Fi makes the naughty or nice list, and we're just gonna have a checklist of the top 5 bad things that can harm user experience over Wi-Fi, and the top 5 good things that make a good user experience over Wi-Fi. Now, it's not the be all end all list. It's meant to be a little fun going through this list, and then we also have something that we'll give away at the end of this episode. So hopefully
What?
you've stuck around through the
Nice.
first 20 minutes. And for Christmas, we're going to give away 3 things. So you're just going to have to stick around.
You know, are you teasing people? You know, it's a
Yeah,
podcast.
hopefully.
You know, they can go at the end right away, right?
You can just fast forward. But they don't know what time they need to fast forward to.
Oh, okay. Actually, you said top 5, but I actually added 2 more for the naughty list. So
Oh, there you go. We
I
got
guess.
some extra things there.
yeah.
All right. So let's dive into the naughty list, because I started creating a list of things and I said, Francois, add your stuff in there. And for some reason, a naughty list is just longer than a nice list. But and the first thing, and I'll let you say the next one, Francois, but the first one that I added on there was your Wi-Fi authentication is just a pre-shared key. I mean, we've been using pre-shared keys for years. We have enterprises using pre-shared keys, hundreds of devices sharing the same pre-shared key. And the reason why I put this on the naughty list is we have devices disappear, people leave the company, but they still have that pre-shared key on their device. So that means they can camp out in your parking lot and hop onto your enterprise Wi-Fi network, and that makes you on the naughty list.
Yeah, but you know, when I see that, I'm asking the question. You know, do we have PSK because it's
Because it's easy.
It's easy to implement, or do we have it because the next step is hard to implement, or harder, I should say?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Having to understand certificate-based, having to understand 802.1x, maintaining the infrastructure for certificates, and then rolling that out to, say, hundreds of devices. Maybe that's intimidating for people.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And you need a radio server. You know, it's an extra piece in the infrastructure.
Yeah, maybe it's just too difficult to do something like this. It needs to
It
be
should be easier. That's why we have like technologies like PPSK that are very popular.
Yeah, because at least then you can give devices separate passwords to your Wi-Fi network. You have the same SSID, just different passwords for devices. I would prefer that method.
Yeah, PPSK is pretty cool. If someone leaves, like you said, you can just remove their PSK and then you move on.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the second one on the list is using a splash page or a captive portal, especially if the captive portal is very slow.
Yes, that is. We have these discussions on Twitter about splash pages. They have their use case. I mean, there's on my campus we have a splash page for the visitor, and it's always the lawyers said we have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if it's very fast and it's just a click through, right?
Right.
But when it's very slow, you have to go through several pages. You have to watch 3 commercials. And you have to give it your life and sign.
There was one that I was at the mall the other day because I had to go Christmas shopping, and I needed Wi-Fi because the cellular connection was very bad. And this is why Wi-Fi is gonna. I'm gonna go off topic. This is why Wi-Fi is gonna stick around, because the cellular signal penetration into the building is just not there yet. With some buildings. But when I hopped onto the Wi-Fi, for one, it was slow to get on. And then 2, had to wait for the splash page. And when the splash page came on, there were dozens of questions, right? Let me put
Yeah.
in my email address and answer all these questions. And then, I mean,
Yeah.
who sits there? I'm just trying to get on Wi-Fi to look at something so I can buy whatever. I need to research this product that I'm going to buy. And so when I fill it out, I think this was at Security Field Day. Someone goes, yeah, you know what email address works still on splash pages is no@no.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I
Exactly.
typed in. I was like, no@no.com, and I'm on Wi-Fi.
Well, anyone that monitors or maintain those systems know that people use a whole bunch of fake email address like Superman, Batman.
So there is no ROI in those types of systems if everyone is typing in poor data, right? It's garbage in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
exactly.
And then on top of that, they're using some third-party splash page, so that connection to that splash page is incredibly slow.
Yeah, I think
even
that's the
after
worst.
you type in the information, right? Like you get that splash page on your iPhone, for example. You get that splash page, and then you're done filling out the info, but it takes forever to just get that splash page out of your window there and get connected.
I agree. That's worse. I mean, if it's fast, and I told you, if it's fast and easy, I don't really mind. Some countries like mandates that you need to have a splash page to at least notify the users that they might be recording the data or some stuff like that for different purposes. So I don't think it's going to go away, but at least make it fast. If you're going to use it, make it fast and easy, please.
Yep. So the third thing that adds your Wi-Fi network to the naughty list is throttling users, because that's still a thing.
Roel, just to add to the last point, I just wanted to say, if you're designing a Wi-Fi for a stadium, just don't put the splash-based server on a Raspberry Pi. That's it.
Yeah, make sure your whatever's hosting your splash page can handle
the load.
the capacity.
That was my message.
All right, so the third one is throttling your users on Wi-Fi, because that still happens in retail, in hospitality,
everywhere.
And they throttle you down to the point where it is nearly usable, right? It's an unusable Wi-Fi network, because who's going to use 1 to 2 megs? Like, can barely load my email on that.
Yeah, and if you want to know the effect of throttling your users on the Wi-Fi, the effect it has on your overall network, you can actually watch the presentation that Troy Martin gave at WLPC Europe earlier this year. So if you just go on YouTube, WLPC Europe 2018, you search for Troy Martin, you should find it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people may be using throttling as a way to mitigate the bad backhaul, right? Maybe they don't have a large pipe out to the internet for your guest users, and that's just something that needs to be considered when you're designing Wi-Fi. Because why are you going to put in the latest and greatest access points, but then throttle everyone where it's slow? It just
I think some people do it because they don't have the internet connection. Some people do it because they don't want the guests to overcome, the corporate side. And then some people do it to discourage the guests from connecting to the Wi-Fi. No, that's true. I've heard that.
If you want to discourage guests, just don't offer it.
Yeah, I've heard that. Well, it's slow, so people won't connect. I think it works too, but
yeah, people have different ways. I don't know. The reasoning behind certain things, it's questionable, but I don't know how some of these corporate guys think.
I mean, from a purely technical standpoint, it's better if we don't throttle users. Just make sure you have enough internet bandwidth to support all the users.
Yes. This fourth one I added on here, and it was, I'll say it so people don't throw things at you, Francois, but your Wi-Fi network's on the naughty list if you're using aging controllers. You should be moving to the cloud.
Are you talking about a specific brand or
no,
vendor?
Okay, no specific vendors. You're just using old controllers, old traditional methods of managing Wi-Fi, and the complications of managing controllers when it should be easier to do, easier to manage.
To upgrade, to maintain. When I see this, I'm thinking about the fact that sometimes you cannot upgrade your controller code because you have like an older AP, or if you want to support a newer AP, you have to use a newer code. So it's not, that flexible.
Or you're in an environment where they go, we can't tolerate any downtime, so you can't even upgrade your controllers.
Yeah.
So there, you can upgrade to newer way, like the newer cloud managed APs, right? And they can streamline those updates where the effect of upgrading is not as the impact is not as huge as upgrading controllers, like your hardware on site. And then you don't have to schedule time maybe to come in so early in the morning to do those upgrades as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're on the naughty list if you have controllers.
Okay. All right.
That's all of us.
So yeah, that's what I was going to say. Even me at home, you mean?
Yeah, even at home. Right now I'm still running a controller, but I also I'm running many things, but...
Yeah, your home is a lab. My home is a lab too, so I have controllerless, everything.
Yeah. So my home lab is on the naughty list, unfortunately.
Well, at least there's room for improvement.
There is. There's hope.
All right, next step up is the hidden open SSID. Man, that's like a hidden open SSID.
Yeah,
okay.
We should have moved that one to the top.
Yeah, I don't see that often, but man.
Oh, I still see it. There's one place, I'm not going to say where, but I see their requirement was a hidden open SSID, and I asked why.
Yeah, I was gonna
no good reason.
I was gonna say, what's the reason behind that?
No good reason to that. There's no good security there at all. There's no security in a hidden SSID. I can still find it. I guess it just prevents people from seeing it, but then you're just gonna leave it unprotected without even a pre-shared key. So that's another problem. But yeah, you're on a naughty list if you've got an insecure hidden SSID thinking you're secure.
People won't see it. Yeah. And plus, hidden SSID is not really a good idea because some client devices don't support that as well too well. So they'll just won't see it, won't connect, won't maintain the connection, won't roam. A whole bunch of different behaviors. So
yeah, even in this time, we're almost in 2019, and we still have devices that can't join properly to hidden SSIDs.
Yeah, and that's on the naughty list too.
Yep, and we're now into the extras for the naughty list.
Yeah, a couple of extras. 40 megahertz wide channels on 2.4, and this one's pretty big. Yeah,
it's still out there, still widespread, even in enterprises or airports. I still see this.
Yeah, and then, man, if you probably scan your environment right now, you'll probably see one. It depends where you live, but if you like,
and we wonder,
dense,
and we wonder why people say 2.4 is dead.
Yeah, and then the other one is 80 megahertz wide channels by default on 5 gig. I mean, it can work well if you design it properly, and if you don't have too many APs. But most of the time, it works better on 5 gig if you use 20 or 40 megahertz wide channels.
Yeah, and this will only be useful once we have all those channels in the 6 gigahertz.
Yeah, maybe that would change.
Yeah.
But when you use 80 megahertz wide channels, you still need your SNR is still going down because you're using wider channels. So that means you're gonna need more APs or higher power, and that means you're gonna it's gonna be harder to handle CCI. So we'll see. We're
gonna have a whole new set of problems. The last one on the naughty list here. you're not supporting the cool 802.11 amendments, 802.11 K, V, R, and W.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you read some of the amendments from the IEEE, they're so cool, right? And then you're like, why don't we use them? And
Yeah, why don't we? Oh, and then you find out, oh, my clients don't support it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's what I added on the notice. Cool. 802.11 amendments not supported by all. And yeah, sometimes I have customer asking me, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? So
That is a good question. Why aren't our device vendors implementing K, V, R, and W? I don't know. Well, anyways, you guys are on a naughty list.
yeah.
All right, so we'll just breeze through the nice list. These, if you have this on your Wi-Fi network, your Wi-Fi network's on the nice list. All right, so you've embraced 5 gigahertz channels.
According to us,
you're using all the uni bands. You're using DFS channels, so it works.
Yeah,
You're
as long
on
as
my
you
nice
monitor
list.
what's going on, the DFS events.
Yep, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, yeah, that's a good start. I mean, some countries have less 5 gig channels, right? But
That's true.
still,
And
we
there's
still have
some
more than on
country-
2.4.
Yeah, there's some countries that are still using primarily 2.4, and so that first one is maybe biased towards America.
Yeah, no, even I think it's more and more people are embracing 5 gig channels and 5 gig networks in general.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Second one is the Wi-Fi network uses external antennas. So in a more challenging environment,
Yeah, exactly.
using your options.
Make Wi-Fi better with some patch antennas. You don't have to use omnidirectionals every single time. As budget allows, but if it's critical, use a patch antenna.
Well, I always say that external antennas are just a tool in our toolbox. It just allows us to do our job more efficiently, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does allow us to create more efficient Wi-Fi, that's for sure.
So
The third
in some
one.
environment, it's very useful.
Yep, I agree. The third one, you've made your minimum basic rates higher than the
1 and 2.
defaults. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good start.
I've been using 24. It's but
Wow, 24 is pretty high. No issue?
it is pretty high. Well, I have a lot of dense deployments.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of APs?
Yeah, at least disable the low data rates.
Yeah, the DSSS and HRDSSS.
I'll let you say the next one, Francois. People might throw things at you.
Okay, your Wi-Fi is controllerless. It's
You're
not
on the
really
nice
controllerless because the
Yeah.
controller is still somewhere, right?
It's
But I mean
somebody
the
else. Yeah.
appliance.
The cloud is not a controller, Francois. That's what
Yeah.
what the vendors will tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's still a piece of software that controls something.
Exactly. That's what I say. It's like, but something is controlling the APs, right? And then the last one, single band SSID. I'll let you speak to that one, Francois.
Yeah, I added this one. More and more I see issues with we want like the dual band clients to connect on 5 gig. It's hard to achieve. It's hard to have 100% of your dual band clients connecting to 5 gig if you have like a dual band SSID, meaning you have an SSID that's supported on both frequency band. Just because of the physics of the 2.4 frequency bands, sometimes clients will just tend to connect to the 2.4, and depending on how their Wi-Fi driver is implemented as well, they'll just prefer 2.4. So a really nice way to go around that is to define single band SSID, meaning like an SSID that only supported on one frequency band, whether it's 2.4 and 5 gig. And this also solves another issue I see sometimes is I call it interband roaming, like a client that roams from a 5 gig radio to a 2.4 radio and then back to a 5 gig radio and then back to a 2.4 radio. It's not optimal for your connection. So I just like a single band SSID more and more because you just don't have those issues.
I have one environment where I've designed it for 5 gigahertz only,
Yeah.
and all the devices connect there. And I will say it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I agree with you. So sometimes it's not easy to sell to the customer because they want the same name, right? It means
Right, yeah.
This means you can have 2 SSIDs. So some devices will see 2 SSIDs. But from a purely technical standpoint, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we can
you go.
talk more about it in next year
In a future episode,
like
yeah.
do like a full episode on it, because I
Yeah, that
think
would be
it's
great.
it can help. It's on the nice list for sure.
Yeah. So if you got all those checked off, you're on the nice list. Congratulations, guys. You guys on a
do they
naughty
win
list have a lot
something?
of work. They win some. You know what? You could enter to win something.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
good segue, Francois. Just because it's Christmas, we're in the mood of giving, and this episode isn't sponsored or anything, but NetScout has sent me 3 link sprinters, and they said, "Hey, can you guys can have this to give away to your listeners." And so if you head over to the show notes, cleartosend.net/152, there's going to be a form that you can fill out. Now, this is going to be limited to the United States because shipping outside of the United States and tax and all that is complicated for me. But you have a chance to win one of the 3 link sprinters from NetScout. So I want to thank NetScout for providing this to the listeners. And if you don't know what a link sprinter is, a link sprinter can help test and validate your network connection. And so it's a little PoE device. It'll test your link to your switch. It'll get some information like VLAN information, switch name, port information that is provided either by CDP or LLDP. It'll test DHCP. And one of my most favorite parts is it connects over to Link Live. And so I use the AirCheck G2 and I use that to connect to Link Live, and it automatically just sends that information to Link Live. And Link Live is a cloud service, which is free. It comes with any of these devices you pick up from NetScout. And it allows you to manage the test results that you get from your devices. And you could add comments and photos to it. You can filter into specific folders. So if you have a particular project, you can organize that and share it with other people. And so there's a lot of neat features that the Link Sprinter specifically, you can test also with your phone. There's an app and it'll display some of the data that it collects. So again, it's like a PoE tester. You want to make sure you get PoE to your APs, for example, right? Or your phones. It'll test the link to your switch. So it gives you information to make sure you're connecting to the right switch. It gives it the switch name, the model, the port, if you got the right VLAN, and including your speed and duplex settings. Tests your DHCP connection, reachability
And then
to gateway.
Yeah, I was gonna say once it gets an IP, it tries to go online and test. It tests like it does a ping to Google or something. Make sure you have
it does
internet connectivity.
I know for sure it pings your gateway, but it sends all that information to Link Live. And
Yeah.
it's a useful device if you're out troubleshooting or deploying something, right? And there's an issue, you can just plug this guy in and do a quick test. And
Yeah,
I've ran into
it's-
things where the cable is not a good cable, right? You're trying to troubleshoot why your AP is getting 10 megs or 100 megs off the Ethernet port. This can tell you actually the cable test. It tells you the distance, if there's a split, if it's good, for example. So yeah, it's useful.
It's very useful. And then you don't. I mean, it can run on battery, but if you have a PoE cable, it will just run out of the PoE, out of the power received from the cable, which is super nice.
The way you connect your phone to the Link Sprinter is it has a little Wi-Fi hotspot, so you connect to that, and the app will detect the Link Sprinter.
Yeah. Or you can also navigate from the browser through the to the IP address of the Link Sprinter right away. It works too.
And I recommend checking out Link Live if you have Link Sprinter or AirCheck or Link Runner. Look at Link Live. It's free. It's a pretty neat service that NetScout has. So I have 3 of these. We have 3 that we're going to give away. Just fill out the form and share out the link to everyone on Twitter, on social media. We'll run the contest for, I don't know, a couple weeks because it's holidays. I'm not sure if everyone will hear this episode on time, but it'll be available for you to fill out your name and all the information. Then we'll do a drawing on who the 3 winners are.
Sounds good. I have nothing to add. Perfect.
Cool. Well, that's our episode on naughty or nice Wi-Fi. Hopefully your Wi-Fi network landed on the nice list, and maybe you're working your way towards the nice list as you go into 2019 with any upgrades or redesigns or fixing issues with your Wi-Fi network. Maybe this Link Sprinter can help you out in figuring out what those issues are. But we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. We hope you have a great time, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Merry Christmas, guys. Bye-bye.